back at Rockhurst High School, getting ready for the start of the second half. The Hawklets leading the St. James Academy Thunder 28-11. The lead has been as large as 19, and right now it's 17 as we get ready for the start of the second half. It'll be Clay Guy, Kyle Wolf, Connor Kuhlman, Pat Jones, and Brian Fosselman to start for the Hawklets. Leimbach, Eckelman, Whitman, Maskus, and Huppy for St. James. It'll be Thunder basketball to start the second half. Fosselman leads all scorers with 11, Clay Guy with 7, and no one else on either team with more than a single basket. So underway here in the second half, 28-11, Rockhurst on top. Leimbach with a jumper to get it started, comes up short, rebound, Fosselman battling for it with Huppy, and it stays at this end of the floor. Good hustle by the junior guard Huppy to keep that one alive for the visitors. Huppy and Leimbach with the 3 each, Eckelman and Engen with single buckets to account for the Thunder points. This is Huppy, one dribble and a shoot to his right, rebounded by Maskus underneath, and a foul off the offensive glass. Maskus will go to the free throw line. First foul on Clay Guy. Ben Maskus, 6'3" junior, to the free throw line. First year as a starter. Hits his first free throw. That's his first point. Maskus picked up 2 personals in the first quarter and saw limited action as a result, but did play near the end of the second quarter. His second free throw, good as well, and it's 28-13, just about a half a minute into the second half. Kuhlman with a trap waiting for him at the timeline. Now dangerous pass. It's pulled in by Fosselman, who's now double teamed by Eckelman and Leimbach. Jones on a bounce to Guy. Leans in, fouled, and basket no good, but Clay Guy will go to the free throw line. Foul on Jake Whitman. I believe that is his second, and it is. Clay Guy, 6'5" senior, 7 points in the first half. 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Make it 2 of 3. As it's now 29-13, Rockhurst on top. The Hawklets 15-4, St. James 8-8. Guy now with 9 points, and the lead back to 17, 30-13. Huppy in the backcourt guarded by Connor Kuhlman. 7:20 to play in the third quarter. The star forward Clint McCullough of St. James again out tonight as a result of stitches he had to get above his right eye after a collision in the Thunder's game Wednesday night against St. Pius X. Leimbach short on his jumper, rebounded by Clay Guy. Here's Pat Jones with it dribbling with his head up into the front court. A little bit of a no-look pass there, trying to get it to Wolf underneath. A little too much mustard on that one, and out of bounds back to St. James with 6:55 to play in the quarter. Maskus to inbound with backcourt pressure once again being shown by the Hawklets. Eckelman gives it back to Maskus, and now it'll be Huppy who waves his teammates off. Now double-teamed pass taken away by Fosselman into the front court. Numbers. Fosselman a little out of control, indecisive. Huppy was there waiting for him to pick up the offensive foul. So Fosselman waited a little too long there, got a little too deep before that pass, and picks up his first foul as a result. Second team foul of the half against the Hawklets, who lead 30-13. Huppy out on the right wing, guarded by Jones now. Leimbach to Maskus. Eckelman did not have sufficient position in the post where he's guarded by Wolf, so he steps out, and now Maskus backs it up and gives it back over to Huppy. Huppy has it knocked away by Jones, and now back over to the Hawklets, up into the front court. Jones, check that, Wolf to the rim. Kyle Wolf with just his second basket, leading scorer for Rockhurst, averaging about 16 a game, but just 4 here tonight, and the lead back to 19, matching the largest of the night for Rockhurst. 6 minutes to play, third quarter, 32-13, Rockhurst on top of St. James. Maskus on a bounce, taken away in the corner by Fosselman, but looks like the senior rather, was out of bounds as he pulled that one in. Mayfield replacing Huppy. 5:53 to play now in the third quarter. 19-point lead for Rockhurst. St. James basketball. Eckelman, Leinbach, Mayfield, Whitman, and Maskus on the floor for St. James in the visiting maroon jerseys. Rockhurst in the home white. Mayfield, right wing. Now Maskus. Whitman wants the ball inside. Instead, Maskus is going to drive that direction, throws one up off balance. Now Fosselman on the rebound, pushes. Brian Fosselman into the front court, takes a nudge from Leinbach, and now a turnover called on Fosselman. So twice now here in the last minute, Fosselman has had the ball in transition into the front court, and twice he's turned it over. Good job by Leinbach to hold his ground there without fouling. Now it's Maskus on the inbound, and it'll be Leinbach who dribbles it up the court. Instead over to Blake Mayfield. 5:15 to play in the third quarter. 19-point lead for Rockhurst. Mayfield guarded by the taller Clay Guy, spinning in to the paint, and now leaves it off for Leinbach. Stephen Leinbach double-teamed on a bounce out to Eckelman. Tough pass trying to get it to Whitman. Off the big fella's leg and into the hands of Pat Jones. Bounces it to Wolves. Baseline. Drives. Fosselman. Extra pass. Clay Guy. Short jumper. Front iron. No good. Rebound. Blake Mayfield in the corner for St. James. So Thunder trailing by 19. Still fighting for every loose ball. And Mayfield has it taken away as he tried to get it to Whitman. Wolf into the front court. To the rim. Fouled. And he scores the bucket. Leinbach gave the foul. Wolf got the finish. And 6 points now for the 6'5" junior Kyle Wolf. And the lead is 21. First foul on Leinbach, second on the Thunder. And before Kyle Wolf's free throw, timeout called by the Thunder, who now face their largest deficit, 34-13. Tonight's broadcast on 810varsity.com brought to you by A&B CarStar. Collision or repair, A&B CarStar has locations throughout the Kansas City metro area. Check us out online for the closest location to you at carstar.com or call the Riverside location for more information at 816-741-6966. A&B CarStar is proud to be the title sponsor of 810varsity.com and sponsor high school sports year-round throughout the metro area. Also brought to you by Christian Brothers Roofing. If you're going to trust the roof over your head, you need to trust your roofing company. With Christian Brothers Roofing Company, you get years of experience and integrity. Don't wait until you know there's a problem. Contact us for a complimentary 16-point roof and gutter inspection at Christian Brothers Roofing, 816-453-ROOF or 453roof.com. 34-13 our score. Rockhurst on top of St. James Academy. Hawklets have never trailed, and this is the largest lead of the night. Rockhurst ranked number 7 in the 810varsity.com top 25. Only losses coming to other top 25 competition, including number 1 Lee Summit West, number 2 Blue Valley North, and number 4 Olathe Northwest. They've also got victories over Blue Springs South, who's ranked number 6, and number 16 and 17 respectively. St. Joe Central and Ray South each have fallen victim to the Hawklets this year as well. 4:37 to play in the third quarter. Wolf to the free throw line, looking for his 7th point of the night. Short and rebounded by Jake Whitman. So first trip to the line for Wolf. He misses the free throw, so it remains a 21-point lead, 34-13, under 4.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Leinbach, Mayfield, Maskus, now Bob Engen, who just checked in. Hard screen out on the elbow, and Stephen Leinbach called for the illegal screen. Second foul against Leinbach in the last 20 seconds or so. Good hard screen by Leinbach there, but his arms got extended away from his body a little bit after the contact was made, and that was enough to catch the official's eye and give it back over to the Hawklets. Kramer tiptoeing the sideline, gives it back to Kuhlman. Now Andrew Kramer guarded by Engen. Dethridge trying to get position inside, and said they swing it the other way. Reese, Kuhlman, Kramer. Now Dethridge has the seal he wanted inside, but he got it too far under the basket, so he kicks it out. Ends up with an open look for Connor Kuhlman, who hits. First basket for Connor Kuhlman to give him 3, and the lead is 24, 37-13. Rockhurst on top with 3:45 to play in the third quarter. Engen with a strong move to the basket, and he'll get 2 free throws. So Bob Engen, who made a running bank shot in the final seconds of the second quarter. A decisive move there into the paint. We'll take him to the free throw line. Foul goes against Gabe Reese, and the third against Rockhurst. Engen's free throw off the front iron and no good. One more to come for the 6'1" junior, Bob Engen. And that one too strong. Rebound. A foul. Ben Maskus coming over the top of Deathridge. So that's the third on Maskus, who takes a seat, and Leimbach is back in after a brief rest. So it's Deathridge, Kramer, Jones, Reese, and Kuhlman for Rockhurst. It's Huppy, Engen, Will Frank, Stephen Leimbach, and Blake Mayfield for St. James. Nice cut and pass. The finish from Gabe Reese, who's got 4, and the lead is 26. 39-13. All Rockhurst here tonight from the Rock. Huppy fouled by Pat Jones as he made a move near the top of the circle. First foul on Jones, fourth on Rockhurst. 3:19 to play in the third quarter, 39-13, Rockhurst on top. Will Frank, left wing. Huppy, guarded by Kuhlman. Frank in the corner now. Looked inside, there was no one there. Now Huppy double teamed in the corner, nowhere to go. Throws it away, into the backcourt. Reese saves. Now Pat Jones. Now back to Reese. Skips it over to Kuhlman, who just hit a 3. Now Jones will try a 3. And hit. Three-pointer for Pat Jones. Foul underneath, I believe, is going to go against the Hawklets, but the basket does count. Pat Jones with 3. But the foul away from the ball under the basket goes against Nick Deathridge. It's his first and the 5th against the Hawklets. Some substitutions now. Junior Zach Nelson checking in for the first time, along with Bradley Wilkins making his first appearance of the second half. Engen guarded by Fosselman. Huppy. Engen into the paint. Tried to leave it for Frank, and it was taken away by Brian Fosselman. Under 2.5 to play down the third quarter. It's all Rockhurst, 42-13 on top of St. James. This is Nelson. All the way over to Fosselman in the far corner. Deathridge, good position, deep on Mayfield. Mismatch there, size-wise. And Nick Deathridge, the 6'5" senior, puts that one in off the glass. And it's 44-13. Rockhurst on top. And toward the baseline, Mayfield making an extra move there and called for the travel. Austin Krause, senior, making his first appearance for St. James. Under 2 to play in the third quarter, 44-13. Rockhurst well in control over St. James. This is Wilkins, Fosselman, Deathridge. Now Wilkins steps in. Nelson, baseline, rises up off the glass and in. Zach Nelson, who just checked in quickly under the scoring column, and extends the lead to 33. Krause. Engen barely collects that one before it fell into the bench. And down to the corner to Will Frank. Engen trying to leave it off to Huppy, and a whistle, and I believe a foul is going to be called here against Zach Nelson reaching in. Check that, they're going to call it against Brian Fosselman. It is on Fosselman, his second and the 6th. So although Rockhurst with a very comfortable lead, the next foul begins the bonus for the visiting Thunder. Engen, cross court to Krause. Spinning into the paint, Austin Krause off balance, off the iron, and no good. Rebounded by Ben Johnson, 6'3" sophomore, checking in for the first time. Also back into the game, Joe Gibson, who gets a touchdown close, can't finish. Rebound tapped around into the corner, saved behind the back by Johnson, and Gibson's there to finish. Joe Gibson with his second basket. He's got 4. The lead is 35 as Frank lines up a 3 and hits. Will Frank with a triple. He's got 4 points, and it's 48-16. Now a near steal by Leimbach as he and Huppy pressure the ball. Reese, Wilkins, quick touch to Nelson, but Zach Nelson can't control. And out of bounds back to the Thunder with 27.6 to play. 48-16 the score. It was 28-11 at halftime. But the Hawklets have blown the doors off here in the third period. Huppy, free throw line jumper, good. So back-to-back baskets for St. James. It's 48-18, final 10 seconds. Johnson, cross court, Nelson, Wilkins, 3 seconds. Wilkins backs up, shoots, no good, rebound, and a foul with 1/10 of a second left as Ben Johnson went up for that rebound inside, called for a push. And as mentioned before, it's bonus time for the Thunder. So they trail by 30, but they'll be shooting free throws the rest of the way on all fouls. It'll be Engen to the free throw line. 1 and the bonus upcoming for Bob Engen, who's 0 for 2 from the line tonight and has 2 points. Free throw good for Engen. 1 more to come. And with just 1/10 of a second left on the clock, make or miss, this will be the last scoring attempt of the quarter. Engen makes good on it. And at the end of 3 quarters, it's Rockhurst 48, St. James 20. You're watching St. James Thunder basketball on 810varsity.com, brought to you tonight by A&B CarStar, collision or repair. A&B CarStar has locations throughout the Kansas City metro area. Check us out online for the closest location to you at carstar.com or call the Riverside location for more information at 816-741-6966. A&B CarStar is proud to be the title sponsor of 810varsity.com and sponsor high school sports year-round throughout the metro area. 48-20 the score as we get ready for the start of the fourth quarter. It was a 20-9 scoring advantage for the Hawklets in the third quarter as they turned a 17-point lead into what got to be as large as a 31-point lead. Last 7 points of the third quarter scored by the Thunder. And so we begin the fourth quarter rather. It'll be Hawklets basketball and the 28-point lead. Fosselman continues to lead all scorers with 11. Clay Guy with 9. Wolf with 6. 5 for Pat Jones. 4 for Gibson, Deathridge, and Reese. Wilkins splits defenders, leaves it for Gibson, who leaves his jump shot short, and rebounded by Ben Maskus. Scoring has been spread out for St. James, but at a minimum, nice bounce pass for Eckelman. Huppy on a bounce, left it to Eckelman. Diving to the basket will earn a trip to the free throw line. Second foul on Gabe Reese and the 8th against Rockhurst. So 5 points for Huppy, 4 for Engen, 4 for Will Frank, 3 for Leimbach for the Thunder. Eckelman to the free throw line here. It's Leimbach, Huppy, Whitman, Eckelman, and Maskus on the floor for the Thunder. Andrew Hall making his first appearance for Rockhurst. He replaces Wilkins, also on the floor for Rockhurst. Joe Gibson, Zach Nelson, Gabe Reese, and Ben Johnson. Eckelman no good from the line. And back over to Rockhurst. Nelson trying to drop it in for Gibson. It's tapped away on the baseline, and it stays at this end of the floor with 7:31 to play. Hall to trigger from the baseline. Johnson, Reese at the elbow. Maskus falls in for the double team, and now he backs it out Andrew Hall knocked away by Leinbach, and it stays at this end of the floor. 7:19 to play in the ball game. 48-20. Rockhurst on top. They've led by as many as 35. I misspoke earlier. It was 48-13 before that little 7-0 run by St. James to end the third quarter. Pass tipped there and taken away by Stephen Leinbach. So just about a minute into the fourth quarter. St. James basketball trailing by 28. Huppy, contested jumper, but he hits. Nice move by Tom Huppy, and he hits the jumper over Hall. Now dives for an attempted steal in the backcourt. Hall controls, though, and into the front court. An open jump shot for Reese. Blocked by Maskus. Gibson has it taken away. Now the big man Whitman into the front court. Crosses over. Now Wisely holds up and gives it to a guard. It's Huppy. Met with resistance. Off balance. Shot is in. Tom Huppy with back-to-back baskets. He's got 9 points. Degree of difficulty at a 10 on that one as he hit the deck after bouncing off Joe Gibson. And it's 48-24. So a 24-point lead, but 11 points in a row scored by the Thunder, as the Hawklets have substituted somewhat liberally here since late in the third quarter. J.P. Decker into the game for the first time for Rockhurst. Engen back in the game for the Thunder along with Blake Mayfield. 6:18 to play in the fourth quarter. 48-24. The Hawklets doubling up the Thunder, looking for their 16th victory of the season. Gibson traveled. So Joe Gibson trying to split defenders. And back over to St. James. So again, it seems the outcome certainly no longer in doubt, but good energy and good fight by St. James. And now a bump about 50 feet from the basket as Mayfield was bringing it across the timeline. So ninth team foul and a 1-and-1 for Blake Mayfield. Tom Keller back in the game replacing Ben Johnson for Rockhurst. Mayfield to the line for 1-and-1, looking for his first points of the night. Mayfield pure on his first free throw. 48-25, Rockhurst by 23. Two for two from the line for Blake Mayfield. 48-26, so 13 in a row for St. James. And the other way, an easy shot in close for Joe Gibson, who's got 6 points off the bench. And it's 50-26. Rockhurst on top with 5:50 to play. Mayfield, nice cut to the basket by Jake Whitman off the screen and roll there. And Whitman will go to the free throw line. Foul goes against Decker. 10 now on Rockhurst, so double bonus the rest of the way. Whitman is good on the first free throw, his first point of the night. A little extra load on Whitman's shoulder tonight as a result of the absence of Clint McCullough, the 6'6 senior, leading scorer and rebounder, sidelined with fresh stitches above his right eye. It's been difficult to match the strength and the talent of Rockhurst, but again, continuing to fight St. James Thunder as they get a turnover into the front court and back over to St. James, trailing 50-28. So it's Huppy, Leinbach, Mayfield, Whitman, and Engen on the floor for the Thunder, trailing by 22 with 5.5 to play. At the elbow, Leinbach looking for Huppy. Now backs up for a three. Tom Huppy with a three. 7 points in the quarter for Tom Huppy, 12 for the game to lead St. James and lead all scorers. And now the other way, pass deflected and out of bounds. Will Frank back in along with Austin Krause as Whitman and Leinbach go to the bench. 50-31 our score. This is as close as St. James has been since very early in the third quarter. Nelson off the inbound. Hall faked a three, now steps in and takes a mid-range jumper and hits. Nice move by Andrew Hall, the junior, has his first basket of the game. Lead back up to 21, 52-31. Mayfield leaves it on a bounce on the baseline to Will Frank, who turns and has it blocked by Decker. And now a foul by Will Frank as Nelson gathered the deflection. 15th foul against the Thunder. Decker with a little nudge as he came up the sideline across half court.
Foul is called on number 21, Austin Krause.
Be the first foul on Austin Krause. And the 16th foul. And before the ball is sent back over to Rockhurst, another timeout for St. James. 52-31 our score. Rockhurst over St. James on 810varsity.com. Our broadcast brought to you by Christian Brothers Roofing. If you're going to trust a roof over your head, you need to trust your roofing company. With Christian Brothers Roofing Company, you get years of experience and integrity. Don't wait until you know there's a problem. Contact us for a complimentary 16-point roof and gutter inspection at Christian Brothers Roofing, 816-453-ROOF or 453roof.com. Rockhurst by 21. Good coaching moments here for Coach Mark Huppy. His team has trailed by as many as 35, but has battled very well here in the second half. A little run at the end of the third quarter, in the beginning of the fourth quarter to cut into that deficit. And back to live action with 4:45 to play. Nice find by Hall. A cutting Decker with his first basket of the game. Tom Keller with his first basket. And it's 54-31. Three-pointer left wing from Blake Mayfield is good. So 5 points this quarter for Blake Mayfield to account for all of his scoring. And it's 54-34. Johnson across the timeline. Mayfield chasing. Leads to an open jumper from the baseline. J.P. Decker with the three to answer Mayfield's three. And it's back to a 23-point margin. Huppy's had the hot hand for St. James with 12 points. Tries to get around his man, a little step-back jumper, high arching off the rim, and high up for the rebound is Ben Johnson. Approaching the halfway point of the fourth quarter. Decker just hit one from there, passes it up this time. Gibson with good position, and he's fouled from behind by Will Frank. So the second unit or arguably the third unit here for Rockhurst, moving the ball around well. Second foul against Will Frank, and the seventh against St. James as Joe Gibson goes to the line for a pair. 3:55 to play, a 23-point advantage for the Hawklets. A victory here would send the Hawklets to 16-4. Up next for them, another game against the top 10 opponent as Blue Spring South comes here Tuesday. The Hawklets defeated Blue Spring South back in December, 66-56. Mayfield up for the rebound off the miss as Gibson splits the free throws. It's 58-34, Rockhurst on top with 3:45 to play. Huppy driving off of the bounce. Over to Engen, who drives off bounce, little scoop. High off the floor. Mayfield tries to gather, can't get it now into the backcourt, trying to tip it to Krause, and it's Huppy who ends up with it. And back over to St. James, if they ever lost it, with 3:30 to play. Huppy spinning into the paint, loses it into the hands of Gibson. Now ahead Johnson, trying to get ahead. Some contact and a foul will be going against Blake Mayfield. Gibson and Huppy tangled up near half court. Give each other a slap there of good sportsmanship. Johnson to the free throw line after the 8th team foul on the Thunder. And Johnson with a chance to get his first points of the night. First free throw, however, is long. Gabe Reese checking back in place of Gibson for Rockhurst. Leimbach replaces Huppy for St. James. A nice game for Huppy for an undermanned St. James squad tonight. Johnson's second free throw long as well. And Mayfield pulls down the rebound. St. James basketball trailing by 24 with 3:15 to play. 3, Kraus, pure. Austin Kraus with a three-pointer. And it's 58-37. Good contingent from St. James on hand here, and they enjoyed that basket by Austin Kraus. 3 minutes to play, 21-point lead for Rockhurst. Now Johnson in the corner, guarded by Leinbach. Out to Andrew Hall. Reese, Decker, Johnson. Difficult pass, trying to get it over the top of Kraus to a cutting Keller. And the foul, I believe, is going to be a hold on Kraus as Keller was trying to get free from him. It is on Kraus, his second and the 9th against St. James. 2:44 to play, a 21-point lead for Rockhurst. And junior Tom Keller to the free throw line for one and the bonus. A couple of substitutions for St. James. A couple of young men who we saw getting action in the junior varsity game. Nick Frank, Joe Ebel, and Mitch McGuire. Keller good on the first free throw. It's 59-37. 3 points for Keller off the bench. Zach Nelson coming to the scorer's table for Rockhurst. And off the missed free throw, he'll have to wait. The ball out of bounds on the baseline will go over to St. James. And now Nelson and Gibson can check in. They replace Reese and Johnson. Check that. It's Keller who goes to the bench. Johnson stays on the floor. So it's Kraus, McGuire, Ebel, Frank, and Frank on the floor for St. James. Pass on the baseline, gets away from Nick Frank. And back over to the Hawklets with 2.5 to play, 59-37. Rockhurst on top, looking to seal the deal for its 16th victory. This will be St. James' 9th loss. A very difficult schedule as usual for the Thunder, and they'll be well positioned and will have some good game experience heading into sub-state play. Reminder to keep your eyes open for our schedule updates on a10varsity.com as we head toward the playoffs. Action on both sides of the state line as we head toward elimination time. On the inside, the finish and the foul. J.P. Decker. J.P. Decker, 6'3", sophomore, has 5 points off the bench in this fourth quarter. Foul went against Nick Frank. Decker with one more. 61-37 our score with 2:07 to play. Rockhurst has led from the opening gun. It was senior Brian Fosselman who scored the first 2 baskets to make it 5-0. He had 11 in the first half. Stuck on that total. A balanced scoring effort as the Hawklets have gone deep into their bench and now lead by 25 with under 2 minutes to play. Nick Frank drives, dishes, now ends up inside to McGuire. Nice finish by Mitch McGuire. 62-39 the score. Gibson inside, over the left shoulder, can't get it. Out of bounds off of Johnson. And back over to St. James with 1:33 to play. So both teams at the ends of their benches, nearing the final minute here. A pass tip that ends up in the first row of the bleachers. 1:25 to play, 23-point lead for Rockhurst. Nick Frank, McGuire, and Austin Kraus. Baseline, leading in, has it blocked by Gibson. Taken by Johnson now into the front court, Ben Johnson. McGuire looking to shut him off. And a block called on Mitch McGuire as he got in the way of the big sophomore Ben Johnson. First foul on Mitch McGuire. And Johnson to the free throw line with 1 minute and 8 seconds to play.
His first. Number 35, Ben Johnson at the line, shooting.
Johnson missed a pair from the line here in the fourth quarter. 0 for 3 now from the paint, from the stripe rather. for Ben Johnson. But a victory in hand here for the Hawklets on this February Friday night. These two teams met last year almost to the day. It was February 4th of last year, a Rockhurst victory by 6 points at St. James. This St. James team a little bit different this year, especially with McCullough on the bench. And now a steal and into the front court. Ben Johnson to the rim. Can't finish, but rebounded by Gibson. Out to Andrew Hall as we're under a minute to play. 63-39. Rockhurst on top. Nelson, now he'll bring it out near the timeline. Under 30 seconds now as Nick Frank out guarding Nelson. And the Rockhurst student section briefly chanting, "Warm the bus." Gibson, 20 seconds to play. Decker, and it looks like the Hawklets content to just pass the ball around and let the clock expire. Final 10 seconds as Gibson flashes to the basket, can't finish, and rebounded by McGuire. He hands it off to Nick Frank. Under 5 seconds. Frank, desperation shot off the glass as time expires. Final score from Rockhurst High School. Rockhurst 63, St. James 39. Brian Fosselman leads Rockhurst with 11. Clay Guy with 9. Gibson with 7. 6 apiece for Kyle Wolf and J.P. Decker. And a balanced and deep scoring effort for Rockhurst. It was Tom Huppy leading the way for St. James with 12 points. The Thunder playing without the services of leading scorer and rebounder Clint McCullough. Fall here to a very good Rockhurst team. 63-39 our final score. For John Huber, I'm Steve Eisenberg saying good night from Rockhurst High School and 810varsity.com. Again, the final score, Rockhurst 63, St. James 39.